I'm Kristen Drummond with 8 News Now. I'm speaking with Tameka Henry today. She is a candidate for the Clark County School District Board of Trustees District C seat. Now, for anyone who doesn't know where that is basically the North Las Vegas area. Tameka, thank you so much for joining me today. For those who may not be familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, and thank you so much for having me. Again, I'm Tameka Henry. I'm a native of Las Vegas, and I'm a wife. I have 4 children that are here, and I'm also just a strong advocate for education. I've been doing grassroots advocacy work around early childhood education. I serve on the board of directors for Oscillero Learning, Clark County Head Start, and various other boards that really are working towards closing the achievement gap and any gaps that arrive for families here in Clark County.
You mentioned you have 4 children. Are they in CCSD schools?
I have one, 2 are adults. One goes to Nevada State High School, and I have one that's Clark County School District.
So what motivated you to run for this position?
I'm motivated to run for this position because I'm a product of Clark County School District. I know that there are great things and great people here within our district, but oftentimes when we look at data, it always shows that we're 48th, 49th in the nation for education, and we have great programs, great educators, great students here, and it's not often highlighted. But I want to be a change. I want to be a change. I want to bring the voice of parents to the board, a voice from the community to the board of trustees.
You've been part of various organizations here in the community. Talk about your experience with those different organizations and how you plan to bring that to the board if you are elected.
I'm the Clark County, for Head Start, Oscillero Learning Head Start, I'm the chairperson of the board of directors. We oversee multi-million-dollar budgets, and we provide services to children at 13 locations here. And my experience serving on that board has really prepared me for the next step to serve as a trustee. You know, really fighting for the resources that our families and our children need to have greater outcomes. And so I'm running because I want to bring that strong representation from our community. I want to continue to leverage the relationships that I have to build stronger collaborations. I also want to build relationships with the other trustees so we can make the best decisions by looking at the data, bringing the concerns from the community, and just really making informed decisions. But it's also important to continue to fight for the resources that we need. You know, this pandemic really showed that we had a digital divide, and there are some things that we need to do to be more proactive versus being reactive when things like this arrive. So I just want to make sure that I'm bringing a strong voice, bringing strong representation, bringing experience and knowledge that I have to really support the Clark County School District.
For you, what are the issues you're seeing right now that you want to address if elected?
If elected, definitely the inequities that exist throughout our district regarding resources that are needed within our classrooms, resources that students need at home on day one. You know, the technology. I love the way that our community came together when they seen that every student didn't have access to technology, to the devices that they needed, and to the Wi-Fi that they needed. We came together so quickly to make sure that those resources were available by leveraging the relationships and building collaborations with organizations such as Cox Communications. We need to do that on day one. And so what I want to do is make sure to continue to tell the stories from our school district, from our families, because the stories are really data. It's really data with soul, and we should be able to make informed decisions on day one to best support the school district.
For many parents right now, a big concern is distance education. Right now, there hasn't been a vote, and we don't have a plan right now that at least has been presented to the public about bringing children back to school. So if you're elected and if there hasn't been a vote or a plan yet in place, what do you say to parents about distance education? What's your position on it? And do you have a plan, or what would you want to suggest to maybe either get kids back into the classroom or not?
Thank you. I think that it's important that we get kids back in the classroom, but we also want to make sure that it's a safe environment for not only our students, but for our educators and for our support staff. And so we really need to have testing protocols in place. We really need to adhere to the CDC guidelines and also listen to our experts at the Southern Nevada Health District to make sure that it is safe for us to return, because what I don't want to happen is we have this large outbreak and we have to close down again. And so it's just very important that everyone in the community continue to social distance, wear your mask, continue to wash your hands, so we can get in the classrooms, get back into our schools as soon as possible. Because distance learning has been challenging for a lot of families. There are still so many families who don't have access to the resources that they need to do it properly. And also there's often ask for different supplies that are needed for children to complete projects. And right now, simply, some families just don't have it. And so we need to just make sure that we're making the best decision based on the safety of our students and staff.
Right now, there are 4 seats up for grabs in this election. 3 of them, all the current trustees are terming out. You are going for one of those seats. What's the importance of bringing on new faces, especially during this time? And do you think it may help unify the board, or do you think the board is fine how it is?
Um, Unity is so important. I think that we can unify as a board, no matter who is elected. It's just important to be respectful. It's important to be an active listener. It's important to have a common goal that we all want to reach, and that is the success and the increased outcomes for children within the Clark County School District. And so this is an opportunity to our community is very diverse, and it's important to have a board that is diverse as well. And so to make sure that everyone is represented, so everyone from Black and Brown communities, different socioeconomic statuses, those who may have children with IEPs. It's just so important to make sure that representation is adhered to across the board.
Tameka, you mentioned diversity. As a person of color running for the board, how important is that, not only to be represented on the board, but also in our school district?
No, it is so very important to have that diversity on the board. Um, for years, there's only been one African American on the board, but our community is so diverse all throughout this valley, and so representation is very important. I would like to see more males on the board. Everyone deserves to have representation, be it from their race, their socioeconomic status, or their sex. So I do believe that diversity is important, not only for our families, our students, but for our administration and our staff as well.
What do you hope to bring if elected on November 3rd?
Again, we just talked about diversity. I hope to bring strong representation from our communities. I also hope to bring collaborations, stronger collaborations with organizations that I have worked with in the past, and really leverage those relationships to help strengthen our school district and create the best outcomes for our students. And I also want to bring someone who is a strong advocate, and I do advocate relentlessly for the resources that are needed for our students, be that the technology, be that making sure that we have collaborations with mental health organizations. During this pandemic, a lot of students and families and our educators and support staff have have had some mental health issues, and we need to support them, so that's what I hope to bring: representation, relationships, and fighting for the resources that are needed to strengthen our school district.
Is there anything else you would like to add about your campaign?
I would. We are always looking for volunteers for our campaign. We're right at about 26 days until Election Day. And so I encourage you to visit my website at votetamekahenry.com to learn more about my stance on education, but also to volunteer with the campaign. It's truly grassroots, and we are in it to win it.
All right. Thank you so much, Tameka, for speaking with me today.
You are very welcome. Thank you.